Well, it looks like we're getting right about 11 o'clock here, so I think it's probably time to get this show on the road. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Hopefully, we'll get into what we're doing here, but hopefully when you're done, you will have a better idea what looks like to be involved in apprenticeships and what the 218trades.com can do for you. I'm going to have my teammate Amanda do a quick disclaimer, and then we'll do a little introduction. Amanda.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to let everybody know that this is going to be recorded and that this will also go out to some media sites. And so that's our disclaimer for that. And this is also a great thing that is recorded. So if you know anybody that maybe missed this opportunity, they will be able to watch it. Enjoy.
All right. Thanks, Amanda. So there are the opportunity to present to you today. We were asked to do that and we were excited, but we thought, you know, do we really want to be in our office? Do we want to be, you know, out of our home? And so what we were able to do actually is reach out to the Ironworkers training facility, and that's where we are today. Jackie, Amanda, Renee, and I are actually in the Ironworkers 512 training facility as we go about today, and maybe even have a guest speaker here in a little bit, and maybe even a quick nickel tour. So we'll try to get some of that stuff accomplished today. So let me introduce my team to you. My name is Dave Cook. I'm the team lead for 218 Trades with the Northeastern Minnesota Office of Job Training. That's who we're affiliated with. And I'm a career counselor with NemoJet. My coworker in Aiken, her name is Amanda Voller. She's also a career counselor and has been a key member of 218 Trades for a long, long time. Renee Prout is from our Virginia office. Now, Renee, correct me if I'm wrong, she's our outreach coordinator. And she also works for the Northeastern Minnesota Office of Job Training. And Jackie Bird, she's the one running the ones and twos today to make sure that we are active and live and in front of you guys. And she is also a career counselor from our Virginia office. So we represent Northeastern Minnesota, and we're start representing you guys as well. We're pushed out to Aiken, and we're coming your direction. Like I said, this is something we're super excited about. We're super excited to be here. Thank you to Deanna for setting this up, and Amy for setting this up for us. So let's get started. So when you look at the 218 Trades, what 218 Trades really has the opportunity to do is to be a spot for you to check out some potential futures, right? To look at some different pathways that you may or may not have a lot of exposure to right now. Apprenticeships, what different trade unions are, those areas that we'll get to talk about a little bit more in the future, but 218trades.com is a spot for you to go to really compare and contrast. So you can go one forward there, Jackie.
And just so everybody knows, if you have a question you want to ask us, please go into the chat section and drop that question. If it's something we can answer that relates to what we're talking about in that slide, we'll answer it right away. But for sure, we'll come back to answer those questions, or at the end of the time, we will have questions too. So please, we encourage questions, okay? Take it off, Dave.
All right. So what is an apprenticeship?
Oh.
So apprenticeship are registered, right? The one thing I don't want you to think is that a company got together, a couple of managers got together and said, hey, we need some free work and maybe we can teach them how to do the job. An apprenticeship is with a specific trade, right? And it is registered through the state. So there are specific marks that they have to hit. You have to learn specific things. All the curriculum is approved by the state. So in an apprenticeship, you're going to work on site, and you're also going to have classroom time. And when you're on site working with your hands, you're learning next to a journey person. And that's somebody that's already gone through their apprenticeship, is already registered, and is obviously working. You're going to learn from that person, and then you're going to take those things that you've learned, you're going to bring them back in the classroom and get better at them. You'll be in a facility like this working and getting better at them.
So here's a couple different trades that are in these pictures. This gentleman in the white suit is actually a insulator. When I went on site to the courthouse project in Aiken, so a little bit closer to you guys where you're at. That was a huge 2-year project. And so I caught him quick coming out with some insulation. You have on the bottom right, a gentleman that's doing some plumbing. And on the far right, you have a gentleman that is working on a construction site. And at the very top, you have a young woman learning how to do drywall.
Just introducing some of our guests, sorry. Also on that slide, you'll see on the far right, oops, sorry, Jackie, going to bump back one. On the far right, you'll see a young man working in, actually right here at the Ironworkers Apprentice facility. You also have a plumber pipe fitter. And at the very top, you have the drywall person, really showing that the breadth and width of the trades that are available for you as a pathway to a new career.
Right. And you guys, registered apprenticeship programs, they really help the businesses in Minnesota create skilled workers. They're in very, very high demand. You have to look at, there's many people in the trades that are retiring right now, and we need to replace those people that are retiring. But we also have really big projects that need extra people. And so when you add all those replacements with all those extra needs of new projects, you are going to find a great job and you're not going to have a problem finding a job. And there's that need for those people. And so if you're worried about finding a career and knowing that you're going to be working and knowing you're going to make good money, you know you're going to find that with this job.
Yes.
The
We are
media's
going to
here,
have some.
they caught me, so.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
we
cool.
are having the television station from Duluth is wandering in and out, taking video and stuff. So if you see us a little distracted, that's why we're a little distracted. So apologize for that. You know, Amanda, one of the things that, you know, you and I were talking about earlier in the day was replacing retirees, you know, and how many people that are retiring in the trades right now, and the need to replace those retirees. And that doesn't count any of the you know, huge projects going on in the area. I know we'll probably get to that later as well.
Right. So an apprenticeship is really an alternative for a lot of people that maybe don't want to go to a 4-year college. Maybe they don't want to go to school at all. It is a place to develop some skills. And maybe you are already good with your hands. Maybe you really like tinkering on vehicles or welding or building things with your uncle that has a construction business in the summer. This is a way that you can start to get into work and developing those skills right away and actually start earning money from the first day that you start. And so we start with developing the skills, and then we create a pathway to earn some good money. You also want to think about money, but also liking or loving what you do. How many people work at a job that they don't love to do, but they just do it? Or they make okay money, but maybe they're looking for something more, something that's more fulfilling, something that makes them excited to get out of bed. And so this is just another alternative. If you're kind of sitting there wondering, is college for me? Is sitting in the classroom for another couple years for me? Or do I want to get out there and build something, create something, design something? And so Dave can talk a little bit more as well on what he sees with those pathways. And
yeah, absolutely. You know, Amanda, what you said was really cool. When I was working first out of college, I took a job that, you know, I was really excited about the company, and the company is a really cool company, but the job that I had really didn't fit what I wanted to do, right? And they paid me good money, but I hated going to work every day. It's kind of like, what we talked about in the past, you live in Minnesota, right? There's going to be a really cold Tuesday in February when you have to go to work. You have to get out, scrape the car, the wind's blowing 40 miles an hour, and it's just not something that you really want to do unless you have a job you really want to do.
Right.
And if you have that motivation, that type of job where where you're working not just in a job that you want, but you're working with your hands around people that want to do the same sort of thing. The fact that they're paying you a fantastic wage along with it as an apprentice, if it's what you like to do, I mean, I don't know if there's a better combination in that, because I do know in that job, the job was a lot of fun with a well-known company, but there are days that you got up in the morning and it was like going to a salt mine, right? And
Right.
so having that opportunity to do something that you really want to do and make good money doing it, knowing you don't necessarily have to go to college for it. There are really good 2-year degrees in our partner boards, and in Staples has a really good 2-year heavy equipment operator program. So there are good 2-year schools, but if you are looking at apprentice, you can go that direction as well.
Right. Brittany, do we have any questions so far?
No questions so far. We're good.
Okay. So, I can kind of relate. My husband did choose to go to a 2-year school in Wadena for electrician. And I think mainly at the time, Aiken isn't a big union company, but he chose to go to school for electrical because he knew that he liked to work with his hands. He wanted to get in and out of school, and he wanted to make good money. And so I want you guys to think about kind of doing some soul searching and what really fits for you. But unfortunately, when he graduated from college, it was 2008. And in 2008, we were in a really bad recession. But being an electrician, he still had consistent enough work that we were okay financially. And so also think of those things too, is the people that make this world go round are the trades. We can't have lights on. We don't have showers, and don't have functional things if we don't have tradespeople. Think about all the things in your house. When you wake up in the morning, you have your cell phone that needed to be charged, you needed a shower, you drove to school. All those things happened because somebody built it or created it. So there are so many opportunities for so many broad areas that I really want you guys to think about. Maybe this is something for me.
Yeah, we were talking about that, Amanda, just the other day, where we were talking about, once you wake up in the morning, at what point do the trades start to impact you, right? So you get out of bed, you put your feet on the floor. Well, somebody either had to build that floor, pour that floor, right?
Right.
You, like you said, charged your phone overnight, so your alarm went off on time. If you had to use the restroom, obviously the plumbers were involved there somewhere. So each step of your day is impacted by somebody who has been through the trades. So the opportunities here are there for you.
Endless.
And I think, if I can interject one thing, I think the kids need to start thinking about, are you somebody who likes to work with your hands? The trades might be just right what you need.
Or even just like you like to take things apart and put them together, or problem solving is a really, really big thing, right? You need to problem solve. If something doesn't work, what do I got to do next? So all of those minded, and guess what? The trades aren't just for men or boys, right? They're for anybody that has those passions of working with their hands, problem solving, creating things. As long as you have the passion and the drive, it doesn't matter who's doing it.
Right.
Yep, it is equal pay for equal work. I mean, if you're watching, it's one of the coolest things we get to say, right?
Right.
We can stand up in front of a group of students or young adults, or shoot, even the Chamber of Commerce, and we're able to say equal pay for equal work. And there's not a lot of industries. In fact, there's few industries that you can say that exact thing with, knowing that it's 100% true.
Right.
So with an apprenticeship, you're earning a wage while you are completing your training. So as an apprentice here at the Ironworkers training facility where we are today, you start at $23.79 per hour. That's what you start out with on your first day. And on top of that, you will be earning benefits. That's not even included in that $23.79. So this is starting on your first day of an apprenticeship. Instead of getting in the car and going to school, this is what you're going to start with. There are a couple of things you need to have to have an apprenticeship. You have to be 18 years old, have a high school diploma or equivalent GED, pass the drug test, and be pretty good in math. Most of the trades do use math. For the carpenters have to use math, plumbers have to use math, iron workers have to use math. You know, everybody, the math makes the world go round.
Right.
And so you have to be a little bit mathematically sound when you do this.
Yeah, that's one of the things that seems to get missed. You know, when you're in school and you're having to sit in the classroom, you might think, well, what's algebra ever going to do for me, or what's math going to do for me? I don't like doing math. But if you think about the technical math that you have to do every day, and I mean, if you're living on a farm, I mean, you're doing math every day, whether you're in a classroom or not. So the ability to do math and basic understanding, and we will have a guest here in just a second who'll be able to talk to that as well. So 18, high school diploma, be able to test. Drugs today are a little bit less focused on in society, but that's not true in the trades. They're very focused on, they're very cognizant of passing drug tests and then of course math.
And as we go through this, the apprenticeship, there's different times a year that you need to apply for different apprenticeships. So you want to go out, and I think we'll have this up on the screen somewhere along the way here, but go out to 218trades.com. It is our website, and you can search colleges, you can search the apprenticeships, you can search all kinds of different things on there. We are going to have that up again. But if you're a junior or senior in high school, this is something you are going to start investigating. Now is a good time to do it. You will find out what time of year is good to apply for apprenticeship that you would like to do, and you'll be ready to go.
Right. And I think another
question. Oh, sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So, is the 18 the age you must be, or if they are graduated early? So an example is, so my son is 13. He actually works full time at a turkey barn, and he's actually getting his college degree right now, his 4-year degree. Would he be able to start earlier than 18 if he is graduated, or does it have to be 18?
No, you'll definitely need to be 18 to start in an apprenticeship.
Yep.
You can apply, you can get all your paperwork done beforehand, but to start the apprenticeship, you need to be 18.
Yeah, it goes back to child labor laws and I mean, the type of work that they're doing. But awesome that he's 13 and so driven. That's excellent.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
And the other thing I want people to think about too is just in general, when we talked about math, because it gets a little scary when some people aren't great at math, you know, even being able to read a ruler, because almost every trade that I can think of, you need to be able to measure something. And so just things like that, if you have shop classes available, take them. The other thing that came to my mind is, you know, a lot of businesses that do trades, whether union or not union, they need people sometimes in the summer to help out. What if you are interested in a certain trade and you wanted to try that out for a job in the summer? That is a great way for you to get a feel for what that trade does. You also would be able to probably earn a little bit more money than you would be maybe stocking shelves at a store. And if you don't like it, now you know. Now you know that maybe this isn't for me, but hey, I'm going to try something further on. And so I highly encourage people, if they can job shadow, great, but if they're able to actually maybe work for some kind of trade, for a business, for, you know, a couple months or something, that is a really, really good way for people to just try it out before they maybe pick a pathway or pick a school.
And that might be something for the 13-year-old to do.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to be 18 to do those summer jobs.
Yeah.
You just have to be 18 to do the apprenticeships.
Yes. Yes.
So Jackie, go ahead and move to the next slide, because one of the things that we're super excited about is, you know, we talk money a lot at something that is super important when it comes to getting involved in the trades, the fact that you can earn while you learn while you're going through your apprenticeships. And, you know, we talk about the new wage here at the Ironworkers for training, for your starting your apprenticeship at $23.79. That does not incorporate any wage increases as you go forward, because you get wage increases as you get forward. And I believe the number I heard, and I'll probably get punched in the arm if I'm wrong, the number that I heard was a 4% increase every six months. And so if you perform and you continue to grow within your apprenticeship, the wage increases follow. So
Right.
we talk about 23.79, and that's a great number. But sometimes when you're just talking, you know, like in this situation, a number is just a number, right? It sounds good. We mean well with it. And if you're thinking it makes sense, but sometimes it's more about pride, right? It's about things that you've done. You'll see a picture on the left there is the floor at St. Francis, or the Benedictine Health Center, excuse me, here in Duluth, and how that Benedictine cross, there's like no standard Benedictine cross laying around at some warehouse that they can lay down. They actually had to creatively build that. They had to create the mold. They had to fit the wood to fit into that floor just perfectly. And you can see how it started and how they were working on it, and how it turned out. In that flooring at Benedictine, they use like 18 different kinds of flooring, right? From vinyl to carpet to wood to laminates to concrete to all kinds of different things and finishes. And so the idea is so much variety in their job just on this one project, right? And I know that Adam Johnson, who is my contact with the carpenters, he helped build that. And when we were talking about it, I said, what's your favorite project? He said, well, let me tell you about Benedictine. And there was no stop, right? There was no, oh, I wonder what that could be, because he knew that he was a part of that from scratch. And I know Amanda's got a really cool story about the Aiken picture. And then I have a guest who's going to talk to that as well.
So the picture that you see on the right with the two gentlemen kind of looking at the lights going, yeah, I built that. That is the courthouse. It's another picture of the courthouse when they were getting towards the end. And, you know, the electricians, they have a love-hate relationship with suspended lighting, okay? It looks fabulous and it looks cool, but they're not so fun to hang. And so I actually caught these gentlemen while they were just kind of admiring their work. And, you know, you could tell the pride that they have. They, of course, were excited to be towards the end of the project, but my husband's an electrician as well. And, you know, he will drive by places and say, you know, I did that there and I hung those lights there, and oh, that sign looks good, I put the new light bulbs in there. And so like Dave said, it is taking pride. It is having value in your community, because you are making sure that your community has the lights on as an electrician, right? Or whatever other trades. Your roads are plowed, your roads are fixed. There's so many things that you can take pride in a trade.
Yeah, it's crazy to be able to talk about that, but it's more fun for you guys to not just hear it from Amanda and I, but let me introduce you to Keith. Keith is a bigwig here at the Ironworkers, but he's got some pretty good stories too. And I asked him, hey Keith, you have a couple stories you can share about, you know, the idea of I built that? And he just shook his head and said, yep, no problem. And so I'll take it away. So we're visiting with a group of kids from North Central Minnesota who are super interested in 218trades.com and getting into apprenticeships. So they're yours.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, Dave. And I'm going to touch on a couple things that are super important, that are so relevant, that have already been spoken about. And, you know, it's just a couple one-line simple words with like pride. Pride goes so deep in every trade on what folks do and what they're prideful of for years to come. Amanda touched on it too, about riding with her husband, I believe she said, and he's talking about projects he worked on or what he had done. And those are stories that turn out to be generational, that, you know, grandchildren end up talking about, my grandfather did this or did that. And, you know, that's here in the Duluth area, there's some iconic things that I worked on, you know, whether it's the Maurice's building was probably it was the newest building at the time. Now we have Essentia foreshadowing it, but it was an iconic time and the biggest building that had been built in many, many years, and it'll be there many years after I am. And that's just one example, you know, from an office type building that resets the skyline of the city. Or, you know, I also worked on the Pier B Resort down on the waterfront, you know, building beautiful structures with lots of detail inside and out.
Love that hotel. It's so unique.
So many things, and absolutely. The sky is the limit. It's all about opportunity, and the trades are the other 4-year degree. And, you know, you start your pathway in a trade, and you might be a project manager or a business owner in just a few short years to come.
Yep. You know, Keith, I truly appreciate your jumping in on that, because I do think that it is less common to think that once you've gotten involved in the trades and you've gotten your apprenticeship done, that you're finished, right? Okay, hey, I'm a journey person now, and I'm just going to work the rest of my life. That can be true, but if you listen to what Keith just talked about, he talked about steps, right? You can continue your training while you're with the union after your apprenticeship and become more. As far as you want to go, you can become more. Well, I just want to say thank you very, very much for coming now, Keith, and jumping in. Do you have any last minute things you'd like to tell the students we're working with?
No, and I thank you again, Dave. You know, it's opportunity. Don't be scared of any opportunity. There are various different amounts of trades out there, and just because you might start in one and you don't fit in that one, you might fit in the next one. So definitely look for the opportunity that fits each individual best.
Perfect. Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
So, and when we get into the 218 Trades website, you're going to be able to see some of those steps and some of the other trades that might be out there.
Davey's got a good point there too, because think about, you know, say that person that you came upon that was working at a desk job and they were in their mid-30s and they weren't happy and it wasn't for them, and they just weren't bringing in the money like they thought, and they wanted to be maybe a little bit more active. You guys can switch to the trades at any time, right? A lot of people do. If you have a 4-year degree in something and you want to join an apprenticeship, you can. The other good thing that, you know, they both were saying is you could maybe start in one avenue of a trade, gain knowledge, because all the skills that you gain doing one trade is just going to transfer and give you that much more kind of step up. You're going to be more valuable the more that you know. A lot of people ask us if welding is a trade. And welding is in so many different types of trades. So if you can weld and you want to be an iron worker, yeah, that's awesome. If you can weld and you want to be a pipe fitter, awesome. So those are little things that a lot of schools do offer, a lot of places offer. But guess what? What if your dad or your grandpa or your uncle or your neighbor has a welding machine next door and they let you try it out and help you? Those are all really amazing skills that you guys can take forward to any apprenticeship that you go to. So you could also be working for somebody non-union and go to the union too. So it's very fluid. You're not stuck. You have lots and lots of opportunities and choices with the trades.
Yeah, so once again, I want to talk about real fast about the idea that I built that. And I wonder how many people that are watching right now in their family has maybe somebody that's on the farm and they help build a tool shed, or somebody that's involved in the trades already, or maybe even you like to work with your hands and you put a new 502 big block into whatever new GM product or old GM product that you have, and now you have a car that you're proud of. You know exactly what we're talking about when we say the phrase, you know what, I built that. And that's the type of career, if you're interested, that you can have in the trade.
Definitely.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Next.
All right, so Amanda, we may just want to start talking about this then.
That's all right.
One of the things that we really want you to focus on is the idea that apprenticeship, you know, you hear all the time about people that start a job and then maybe they quit the job and have to start at brand new. So we are really focused on, you know, you either made a lot or you made nothing. Well, apprenticeships can be the same, but when we talk about money, I want to try to tell you a story. So I have a person that I know who was an apprentice and they were making, in their apprenticeship, they were making $24 an hour. So roughly that turns out to about $28,000 a year. And they did a couple things. They didn't arrive for their apprenticeship on time a couple times. And then they failed a drug test. And it didn't make them a bad person, right? But it did stop them from completing their apprenticeship at $24 an hour. Now, they got their old job back that they had before. So it's not like they went from $24 an hour to nothing. They were still a very good employee at the other job. They got back for $11 an hour. So what I don't want to do is I don't want to say, well, this person had this opportunity and they had nothing, because they still had something. But the difference between those two jobs, right? The apprenticeship that paid $24 an hour and the nice job that they had before it paid at 11 is $13 an hour. And again, we talk about numbers, right? And numbers don't always mean much when we're in a situation like this. So that's $13 an hour. What is that apprenticeship actually worth to the person who decided to do the drugs so they didn't pass the test, or decided not to wake up in the morning, right, on time? So can you think of some things you might use $26,000 for, right? Can you get a boat? How about a snowmobile? Maybe two, right? What could $26,000 do on the farm? I mean, what could it do on a farm for you and your family? Or could you get a cabin, or go on vacation, or have hunting land? What about this guy here? So if you were interested in $26,000, right? That's the difference between your apprenticeship and the job you got back. It's one thing to talk about money. It's another thing to talk about that truck. So the difference between waking up and being to work on time, and or choosing not to indulge in the drug habit while you're an apprentice, is that truck, that $26,000 truck that's available, well, was available, I'm not sure it's still available, this was taken on Monday, in Aiken, right? Amanda, this is at your dealership. Yep. This isn't something that we found in San Diego, right? This is in our neck of the woods.
Right.
And so if you think about, if you think about the impact that apprenticeship can have on your future, and again, this is somebody fresh out of high school. So if you think about the impact it can have on your future, the difference between making $24 an hour, or roughly $48,000 a year, or $11 an hour, or roughly $22,000 a year, is massive. And all it caused it to go away was the indulgence that they figured they'd get away with, and frankly, not being interested in being to work on time.
Right. And the other thing that we talked about earning money right when you start your first day. How awesome would it be to be 18 years old and making $30 an hour? Yulin Brothers comes to their construction company, and they came to McGregor Schools last spring, I think, and they hired a young gentleman, 18-year-old, to start with their company, and he started at $30 an hour, $30 an hour. By the end of summer, he was doing well. He was showing up. He was gaining good skills, and he was a great employee. He was making 40 something by the end of summer. That was only 3-4 months. And so think about not only the things you can buy that might be fun things like snowmobiles, cars, trucks, but think about buying a house. You know how many realtors we talk to that are amazed at the 18 to 24-year-olds that are buying houses? I couldn't buy a house till I was 28. I wasn't even out of school till I was 22, right? So I want you guys to think about all those things that you can buy, but also how you can set up your life so much earlier as well.
And not just that, but you can stay where you want to stay. And we'll get into that here now. So I'm a Little Falls kid, right? When I graduated from high school, I was given some choices that I could do. I could stay on the farm, right? I could haul wood. You could make decent money hauling wood to the cities. I could join the Army, or I could go to university. Those are my 4 options.
Right.
It's one of the reasons that we are here today. We want to talk to you about another option, which is the trades and how they can impact you based on the idea of wage versus debt. Because, I am sure in every class you guys have had, Deanna and Amy, that you've talked about the impact that student loan debt can have on a future. Now, I'm not saying anything negative about going to school, right? Because people that are interested in going to college, that should be what they do. But it's not for everybody. And if it's not for you, the idea of going and incurring debt, doing something that you don't want to do in the first place, is not the best way to start your career.
Right. And I have a similar, I was told basically you go to college because nobody in our family's gone to college before. And I never knew what I really wanted to do. I did know that I enjoyed sports and I did enjoy medicine. And so I went to Morehead State and started a degree in exercise science. And after that first year, they created a program called athletic training. So that's where the person goes out. If somebody's hurt on the football field, they help that person do what they need to do to get off the field, but then maybe rehab and get better, right? I enjoyed it, but I was single. I started to not enjoy it because I had to work during the day in physical therapy as a physical therapy assistant. And then I would have to go to the high school in the afternoon. And then many nights and weekends, I would have to work. Then we got married and had kids. Okay, so I was sitting at a hockey rink 12-hour days all weekend long with kids at home, babies, pregnant. And it just got to be not so fun to get outside, get into the car and drive in a winter storm to go watch other people play sports for 12 hours, okay? But I also graduated after 5 years with a double major, right? A bachelor's degree in athletic training and exercise science. I graduated with $27,000 of debt, which is actually pretty good for 5 years of school in 2002. I'm still paying on that debt, you guys. I have not missed a payment, but I am still paying on that debt, okay? I graduated in 2002. That's a long time. It's 18 years. I'm still paying for that. Most college programs are about 25 to 30 a year, okay?
Yeah, we actually did a little bit of research on that, Amanda, and after 4 years, the average state of Minnesota college and university, a 4-year degree costs you about $101,000. So you're right about that. Right.
And so, I mean, I got some, grants. I was able to work some, but, I didn't love it. I talked about my husband being an electrician. He went to Wadena and he did the 2-year program. He wanted to be a lineman, but there was a waiting list, which is very common for linemen. It's a 1-year degree. He wanted to work. He didn't want to go to school a long time, but he decided to do the electrical program for 2 years. Got out of school with 0 debt. He was able to pay his school off as he was going to school. And remember, when he got out in 2008, the economy was bad. And so if we would have had to pay my debt, his debt, and raise a family, that would have been really detrimental. But he got out making more money than I did as an athletic trainer with 2 degrees, with 2 years of school.
And again, we're not shooting the idea of going to school. If that's what you want to do, that's what you should do.
Right.
But let's quick compare the two, because I talked about a 4-year degree is going to cost you about $100,000, a little more than $100,000. If you take the wage from here, the training wage from your apprenticeship, which is, if you figure full time, it's $49,000. So add that $49,000 together for 4 years, right? Not going to include the wage increases, which we know are a part of it. Right. But that's $200 worth of wage, $200,000 worth of wage in that 4 year versus somebody who went to university who's $100,000 in debt. And I'm not going to count how much it costs on a monthly basis, any of that. We'll just talk raw dollars. At the end of 4 years, you will have had your apprenticeship in. You'll be a journey person, and you'll be about $300,000 to the good compared to somebody that went through school. Will they be making good money as well? Yes. It's going to take a while for them to catch that $300,000 discrepancy between the two.
Right. It's all about pathways and what really works for you. And I think that we have so many more exploratory options with the internet than when I went to school or even when Dave went to school, that there's really no excuse to really do that exploring. And if you can do those jobs in the summer working with people, that is really going to help you decide, is a university 4-year, 2-year, maybe you want to be a medical student, that's great. But start exploring pathways. And I think that's really important for you guys to kind of take away from this, is just start exploring.
One of the things you'll see on this slide that Jackie just turned is our hashtag, which is work here, play here, stay here. It's one of the ideas behind why we're doing this. The idea that you can have a career and live where you want to live.
Right.
You can play where you want to play, and it allows you to stay and build your community, right? So often, and I'm sure you guys have heard it, Deanna and Amy, I'm sure you guys have heard it, where when you're getting close to graduation, people say things like, well, when you relocate to Minneapolis, or if you go to Chicago, if you go to Fargo, if you go to Sioux Falls, once you get your education and stuff, then maybe you can move back. Well, a lot of people aren't interested in relocating in the first place. And so the trades are a really good spot to start a career if you're interested in staying where you're at.
Right. Yeah, that's true. My husband and I are both from Aiken. I went off to Moorhead for 5 years for school. I came back and I stayed. He went to Wadena. He came back and he stayed. And both of us have jobs that we love. Our families all live here. And it's important to us that we are in the community that we're in. We want to live here. We want to stay here. And we are still able to make a good living wage doing so.
Yeah, and again, we're not looking at this short term. Long term, getting involved in the trades and staying in the community that you want to stay in allows for stronger communities and invested families. If this is where you want to, if you are where you want to live, consider trades as an opportunity to do that, to stay where you want to stay.
Something else that the students need to consider too is, what do you enjoy doing? You know, you may have a hobby that you can turn into an apprenticeship and into your life's work. I mean, if your hobby is working on cars, if your hobby is, you know, just about anything, think about what you do enjoy doing, what makes you happy, and how are you going to turn that into something that you can do as an apprenticeship or whatever, so that you can work here, stay here, play here.
Right.
So Renee, let's take a quick look at the website then. So the whole idea behind what we're doing is our 218 trades, and it is going to be the opportunity for you to do just what Renee said. So if you look at the website, it's pretty straightforward and fairly easy to use. You'll see the ribbon at the top has things like misconceptions. So that's a spot to go if you're hearing things about the trades that you may or may not know are true. You know, things like, I've got my 4-year degree, I can't go into the trades, or are there actually jobs available for me up here? It talks about apprenticeships as a thing. You know, what is an apprenticeship, some of the details. You'll see the contact button in the lower center. When you click that contact button, it comes to my desk. Maybe I shouldn't say that, Amanda. Now people, if they just want to talk to me, they know where to go, right?
Contact us.
Yeah, exactly. But Jackie, if you could do me a favor and go over to the resources tab, because I want to show you where the strength of this website is. It is probably the coolest part about it. So let's say you decided carpentry is something that you might be interested in. Jackie, if you'd click on the education tab there. So you'll see in the education tab, there's a number of schools in northeastern Minnesota, you know, from the some of the partner programs to the institute, but now we've come to Mesabi, right? And you'll see under Mesabi that it actually has their carpentry program there. So if you click on that, so you get a chance to sit back and review the Mesabi program. So you can talk about, you can read what they do, you can see about projects. There's a spot to chat to an admissions rep. I mean, you can kind of get an idea if this program is something that you'd be interested in. But I mean, that's not the whole reason you go to 218 Trades, right? This is one of the pieces. Jackie, if you go back to the website and then go to roll up and go to the apprentice tab right there and go to carpentry. And you can see the different trades are listed there, right? They're all hot linked. And we go to carpenters. And if you see in the carpenters area, there is a spot that says local apprenticeship program. Now, when you click on that, it's going to take you to the apprentice program. It's going to talk about the things that you need. It's going to talk about the curriculum. So what is it that you're going to be learning? it's going to give you the opportunity to apply for that apprenticeship right here. So you get an idea of what the expectations are, what it is that you're going to be learning, and how you get started. Now, if you think about it, and you're with a counselor, or you're talking to an influencer in your life, whether it be your mom and dad, or a guardian, or somebody that just has interest in what you're doing, you can sit there and compare and contrast between the two without ever having to go to another website, without ever having to try to get somebody else's input in it. You can see and start to make your own decisions. Then, as we were kind of joking on an earlier presentation, then when you have your idea and you're coming to that influencer, you don't say, well, I want to be a carpenter. You can actually say, okay, so I've researched the differences between going to carpentry as an apprenticeship and in school, and this is kind of what I'm thinking. And then so you have done your research. You have the information that you need to do to make a good decision with the adult that's with you.
Right. And I think the benefit of this website is that you can look at so many things on one site. If you had to look at all these different trades and look up all these different things, you would have 50 pages up, and that's just not usable. It's not efficient for you. And so we tried to make this as easy and as efficient for people. And believe me, this website's going to develop and be even easier, but go to this website and start your research and start reading about some things.
And then we also do have a Facebook page, which is 218 Trades on Facebook. So jump onto that. You're going to see additional like photos and more specific timely information as well. So if you're on Facebook, make sure you jump on and like the page and share it with people you think might be interested in it. You don't have to share it with your aunt who's a book writer in Florida, because that's probably not going to do anything for her. But if you have people that might be interested, or family who might be interested, make sure you share that with them as well. Do we have any questions about the website or anything about the apprenticeship? Because I could probably walk around the building for a minute if you want.
So far, we don't have any questions in the chat box, but that just means somebody might still be typing. So if you have any questions or concerns, please type them in.
Why
Amanda,
don't we
did you have anything to add?
Well, why don't we have people give us put their questions in there while you walk around, and there's a message.
Okay, I do have a message, and Amy says a tour of the building would be fantastic. A tour of the building would be fantastic.
Perfect.
All right. Understand I'm not a tourer.
That
yes.
Under one of the categories, or several of them, it says you have to be sponsored by a company. Could you explain that to them?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Thanks, Deanna. So a sponsorship, what a sponsorship letter is the trade is going to have you, and often they have a list of contractors in the area. And so the apprenticeship, as we said before, is registered. And so the contractor has you employed. So you are an employee of the contractor. So once you get hired by the contractor, then you'd present that to the union to start the apprenticeship program. Now, you start by contacting the union to see who those sponsoring contractors are. We just went through this with the laborers, because the laborers are having a apprenticeship program starting here soon. And they have a whole list of contractors in different areas as well. So if you're interested in an apprenticeship, that's going to be one of the things we talk about when you contact me or while you're reviewing the website is, okay, here you need to reach out to some contractors as well. So that's what that is. A sponsorship letter is basically the company saying, yes, we employ this person and we want them involved in the apprenticeship. Does that make sense, Deanna?
Yeah, it does, because that means that they could be working local as they get into their apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Correct. As a matter of fact, Amy, that may answer some of Amy's question from earlier as well. If the student is working with the contractor prior to, when they do turn 18, they'll have that sponsorship already in place.
Right. Yeah, that's the really good point of trying to get some of those experiences in for a couple summers if you're able, because if you make a good connection with one of those businesses and need that sponsorship letter, there you have it. It's like a reference, a really important reference.
Couple of questions just popping up in the chat here. Brett has to leave for next class, so he says thank you. Tom wants to know, what would a contractor sponsor look for in a candidate?
Good question.
Well, I think it's some of the things that we've talked about already. They're going to want somebody, if they have somebody who's got interest already, if you're living on the farm and you have done some metal work and you're interested in the iron workers, a company that might be, a contractor would be interested in knowing that you had those skills. Or if you've gone through your shop classes and you have welding experience, those sort of things would be interesting. But really what they want to do is they want to see somebody who has the drive, who has the interest. And because of course, they're hiring you to do work as well. So they want to make sure that, they know that you are interested in what it is you're doing. Does that make sense?
Character, a big character, and ethical, and showing up to work, doing a good job.
Yeah, if you have work history, that's a plus as well.
Right.
So
Okay.
I am, how are we doing?
We have another question. If you guys want to talk and walk, it says, can you please share with us how competitive it is for a high school graduate to secure an apprenticeship?
Absolutely, we can share that. That's certainly we're certainly capable of doing that because it varies. It varies just like in any field. There are going to be a number of apprenticeships open in the different trades. Some of them have a very specific number of people that they bring. The electricians are often very specific to the number of people that they bring in. The laborers tend to have a little bit more open because they need more people. And so depending on the trade is going to be truly how competitive it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out the walking and going to turn the camera around so we can take a quick tour. So, Amanda,
yeah,
my greatest strength.
Right. Some trades only offer so many applicants, and that's why it's really important to know what time of year you can apply. You don't want to miss that date either and have to wait a whole year. And so making sure you know when you need to apply, having all those qualifications lined up ahead of time. And, a lot of laborers are, for lack of a better word, kind of desperate to get some new faces in there. And so I would just make sure that you're applying as soon as you can and making sure that you're building a good foundation of work history and character.
All right, ready for a mini tour?
We have one more question. Do you want the question or you want the tour?
Nope, let's take the question.
How would a business start an apprenticeship program, and is there help for someone or an agency in doing this? So somebody wants to start an apprenticeship, a business wants to start an apprenticeship. Is there help for them?
Yes. Yep, I actually can help with that one. I would contact the Minnesota Department of Labor. They have an apprenticeship team. Jeremy Parker and Rick's last name I can get to you. Very involved in apprenticeships in the state of Minnesota and getting them started with companies. So in Minnesota Department of Labor apprenticeships, and you can find that right on the Minnesota DLI website.
Amy put the name up for you, Dave. Rick
Mardigan?
Yes, that's it.
Perfect.
Yep, those are the ones. So let's take a quick walk. So here's the entryway to the apprenticeship training center. They've got all the, historical stuff. We will walk into the break room again. Sorry, this is not my greatest strength. And you can see the number of people that they will have here normally just in the break room here. We've got, a bunch of stuff. Awards, honors on the wall, but let's go back into the area that I know you all want to see. You're not particularly interested in the break room. So the main area of the training program, right? So we've got the welding areas. This is going to get a little squirrely with the internet. So if it does, I apologize. So back in here, we have that whole area there is welding training. It's where you're going to or hone your skill, because not everybody needs to learn it. But with MIG, TIG, doing
a variety of different metals, bonding, non-metal things, all the way through to some of the wire tying. You've got some of the already framework things that you're working on. You can see the acetylene things. Outside, they have a number of things as well, but we're not going outside today, apparently. But you can see some of the overhang work that they have. You can see that. So there's a lot of interesting right now. And then I'm going to probably sneak in behind our people that are working, Amanda and Jackie and Renee, and show you some of the classrooms as well. So you can see in the different classrooms, guys, we have, different tools that they work on. You again can see the tie work that they're doing here on the walls. I promise you that the real estate agents aren't going to hire me for the tour of homes, but we will get you as much see as we can. All right, we're going to go see Renee's room, and you can see here we're talking about some of the different cranes and things that they work on. You can see here we have one of the big iron pieces that they work with. You can see some of the tie-off things that they train. This is some of the safety things they train on in here. As I spin around, again, fantastic video quality right here. And finally, we're going to go into Amanda's room here. There's Amanda. And again, you can see the different things they're working on. They're talking about crane work here. Try not to tip over the iPad. And again, we got welding pieces. We've got safety things. So all of that you'll be learning in a classroom setting as well. But the key to the classroom setting is that it's only part of, I'm trying to turn the screen around. It's only part of what it is that you are learning. In fact, it's supposed to be the smallest part while we're learning in classrooms. What we're learning in classrooms is things that you've done on the job, right? And so, it is a very, it is not academically focused. Academics is part of it, right? It's very focused on working hands-on, working with your hands, doing the things that you need to do to become better at what it is. And Amanda, if you wouldn't mind jumping in right now, I'm having a glitch with my camera.
Sure. All right. So also what you guys are seeing on the screen are all of our contact information. And so if there's a burning question or you want to contact us in some way, please take this information down. I work in the Aiken and the Grand office, primarily the Aiken office, so I'd be your closest contact to where all of you are. But Dave is definitely our guru with a lot of contacts with apprenticeships. So don't hesitate to reach out to any of us via email or phone. What did everybody think about the information today?
Amanda?
Yeah.
Amanda, can I interrupt for a moment, please? Yeah. We have another question up on the screen.
Good. What is it?
Well, Tom wants to know, are there limits to what kind of apprenticeships a company can start? Most of what has been discussed has been trades and labor.
I think I understand what the question is, Amanda. I think Tom is asking about things like auto mechanics. I think he's talking about things like apprenticeships now that you're seeing more and more in healthcare. Right. And the answer to that is yes. We are focusing right now on the trades. But yes, there are apprenticeships all over the board when it comes to different skills as well. Again, the Minnesota DLI is a great place to get your hands on some other ones. I know I have a student in Silver Bay who is interested in auto mechanics as a career. And we have talked with one of the big auto dealers in Minneapolis who has an apprenticeship program for that. So yes, Tom, there are apprenticeships all over the world, all over the area that you can get involved with. It's 11:59, guys. We're getting to the end of the hour. I just really want to thank you for attending today, and I hope that we were able to provide you with something that maybe you didn't know a lot about. Maybe we opened up your eyes on something that could be really cool, part of your future, a pathway into a career that, again, allows you to work here, play here, and stay here.
Right. And
Yeah.
don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Right. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you. And
everybody.
Dave, Amanda, Renee, I would just like to thank you on behalf of rural Minnesota CEP for this partnership. We're really excited about sharing, you know, apprenticeship opportunities with our youth. So we'll definitely be sharing this recording. So thank you.
Excellent.
Thank
And again,
you
we are
for
always
having us.
able, yeah, we're always available. So if you have questions or you want additional information or want to do this again, feel free.
Absolutely, we will. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you, everybody.
you.